Hello and welcome to episode 5 of our series in Blades in the Dark. Don't forget, as always, there'll be a link on screen for the previous episodes if you've missed any of those. Today we are joined by Claudia and Hayward. So, from where we left off on the previous score, the box that Claudia and Carrie-Anne had been investigating and getting for Eli. They successfully did that, brought that back to the mansion and met with Eli, who opened it and promptly disappeared, at which point Carrie-Anne, very relieved, stomped back to her studies, whilst Claudia kind of thought, oh, maybe we should actually, investigate what happened to this, and brought the ever intellectual Hayward along to assist with his university studying background, because Carrie-Anne didn't care enough to try and find him, or was just so relieved that he disappeared that she wasn't really interested in bringing him back yet. In the mansion that you're staying in, there is a sort of personal library and study area that Eli had been using. Claudia, I presume the main reason why you brought Hayward in is because it involved sifting through a lot of random bits of paperwork, and you just didn't want to do that. So,
oh yeah, no, that's not my thing at all.
Whereas a university professor is much more interested in seeing someone else's research and what was happening. So I assume you just stood and encouraged.
I sat on a chaise long and encouraged.
And by encouraged, I probably mean insulted. But in all of the notes and the research that you've been finding, there's lots of stuff that is pretty incoherent, pretty hard to follow what he was actually looking at, because it turns out that he was not organized. There was no filing system in place. There's just like scraps of paper all over the place. Trying to find anything coherent in this, and like even just working out what order some of the pages should go in, just didn't work. But in all of the research that you've been able to do, you did find yourself a familiar name. So, noted in the margins of a list about just kind of various notes randomly around sort of occult items and potential magic. You see a name. You see kind of noted in the margins of check with Dr. Madeline Hunter. And Hayward, this is a name that you recognise, because at the university, who works much more in the study of ghosts and their origins, is a member of staff that you're familiar with the name with, but probably aren't particularly close to, given that she's got a very different field of study to yours. But you recognise the name Dr. Madeline Hunter as being sort of one of the experts in the history of ghosts and their origins in Dwimble.
Ooh, it's looking good.
That pile of paper is looking good.
Yeah, that's a real good pile of paper. There's some gold in there. I found a name. A name that I know. I don't know if you've heard of her. Dr. Hunter.
I give a look of like, do I look like, do I look acquainted with many academics? Well, 1 in 6 probably, but not this
quite
one.
that high.
Or academics have a different ratio.
A lower one, yes. I'm just trying to
Yeah,
work
they
out.
don't get paid enough.
Pretty
No,
much.
we really don't.
I know I need to work out a ratio that I can easily do with d6s.
Is it 1 in 12?
Well, I was thinking that, but you can't. I don't know how you do 1 in 12 on.
Oh yeah.
It'll be
Get a
1 in
D12.
36 if it was like.
Sounds about
That's
right.
still a lot.
Sounds about right.
But not Dr. Madeline Hunter though.
No, I don't know.
You should go make her acquaintance again.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know why, but sure. Oh wait, no, it's because of this Eli dude. Yeah. I know why. I've been following.
Might have some semblance of information.
I may have been asking Mathilda for help with the pain management of the arm, and I don't know what's going on anymore.
Yeah, I want to try and find out where this Dr. Madeline Hunter is. My first bet would be heading back to university. Got a laboratory there. Sure, they'll let me in.
Yeah. I'm sure they will. Do
Yeah,
they just let anyone walk into universities?
Well, I'm still technically employed there.
I'm not.
I'll say you're with me. We're allowed to bring guests.
Is that how uni works?
It is when you're a professor.
Oh yeah, probably.
I can do what I want. Possibly.
Probably not, but it's okay.
But yeah, so I want to head back towards the university. And try and find the Honourable Dr. Madeline Hunter.
Cool. Is there anything you want to do around before heading off? Just want to go straight there.
I think I'm pretty good.
I say goodbye to my leech friends from last time.
The Leech Boys all wave goodbye at you with their
Little tails.
Yeah. Mr. Squishy looks particularly sad to see you go.
Oh, Mr. Squishy.
As if you could read the expressions of.
I see it in his gaping maw of teeth.
I do just take like another fine bottle of whiskey out the cabinet though and tuck it inside my jacket. You know how these academics are.
Alcoholics.
Yeah, pretty much.
You wave goodbye to the leeches, and grab a cab up to the university that Hayward works at. The unimaginatively named Dwimble University that you study at, not to be confused with the University of Dwimble, not to be confused with Dwimble City University. It's a big rivalry. So head up there. The University of Dwimble is quite a large campus. Has a lot of different departments and kind of individual buildings for each section. So you have obviously your sciencey bit. I can't remember which department you actually work in. Haywood, something
Chemistry.
sciencey, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was chemistry. I think I studied chemistry.
Cool. Yeah. So you got you got all the different sciencey ones kind of grouped together. You got the kind of physics and chemistry and biology and physicking kind of in a section or one on the campus, and then various humanities. And then down at the other end, which you're probably less familiar with, is the section that's more around kind of cosmology, occultology, demonology.
Demonology, you say? I forgot which character I was
No.
playing there for a second.
No one said demonology. Yeah, in a section you probably have spent less time in. But
Only in my freshman years, spent my time around here.
there's a few buildings in the section. Within the kind of building for phasmology is the kind of center for history of phasmology. It obviously has some crossovers with some of the humanities departments, but comes under phasmology for the purpose of this university. And it's kind of just a kind of section of the main phasmology building. It in itself is part of a sort of larger complex. So you've got a big kind of square building with a quad in the middle. That's in the kind of main center of the a quadrangle. Yes, thanks, Lux. You have a big quadrangle with a quad in the middle. That's the kind of main center for the kind of general studies of paranormal stuff. Is called the Center for Paranormal Stuff. That's the department. Department of Paranormal Stuff is the official name. And then kind of branching off the main central building, there are a few other buildings then dotted off from that, including the center, the phasmology building, which is then just off to the side, and is a fittingly slightly spooky looking manor type place that is probably not actually that old and is just made to look like it's a spooky manor because they wanted the aesthetic without actually having to deal with the ghosts, because ghosts are not actually that good to have in a building whilst you're trying to study. So they also have a couple of buildings off that are actual genuine old buildings that have ghosts in, that are more used then for study purposes. Specifically, to go and actually see live ghosts, which obviously has big warning signs in front of it. Well,
Live ghosts.
real ghosts, shall we say? Obviously not alive. And so yeah, they're kind of just nearby as well. As you arrive at the Department for Paranormal Stuff, DFPS, DEPS. I feel like there should be a fun acronym that people would make of it, but I can't think what it is. Anyway, probably just be DPS. What? What, Luna?
Nothing at all.
Is there any clue on where we might be able to find Hunter?
Madeline Hunter.
Yes. So, as I said, so she's in. She's certainly based in one of the side buildings that is the main building for phasmology. It's this kind of big old imitation manor that's kind of made to look like that, but obviously is set out with different like offices and seminar rooms and all that kind of stuff. So that's where the office is. Where as you kind of get closer to then start to make your way to that building, you can see that there are quite a lot of blue coats standing around, and very little in the way of students.
Oh dear.
Well, things have changed around here a little bit. We've been gone a couple of weeks. I'm thinking I just go knock on the front door. Got me, my staff, card.
Is this the kind of uni that has prospectuses just lying around? Like if you go to, like in the RNCM, and you can just grab a prospectus.
Yeah, so there's like a central hub building that you could kind of go in through and grab a prospectus.
Can I have grabbed one on the way? Can I flashback grabbing a prospectus?
Yep.
Would I?
Is there anything you wanted to look at on the prospectus, or did you just want to have one for fun?
It's more just if Hayward's famously excellent persuasion skills go anything like they did last time, maybe I could blag that I was a student.
The other question I was going to ask is, having been at this university and studied here and then worked here as a researcher / professor, do I know of any secret back entrances?
In the DPS building.
I mean, this is the center. This is the phasmology building. The DPS building is next to it.
Is there a secret back entrance that connects the DPS building and the phasmology building?
I think as a chemistry person, I don't think you'd necessarily know about the secrets of the paranormal professors.
Sure, they got some real secrets.
So as it stands, so kind of on the front door to the phasmology building is currently being there's a group of blue coats kind of stood in front of it. You see someone kind of turn up to go, and they quite quickly usher them away.
Well, everyone at this university knows I do some experiments over in my laboratory, and I'm just coming for some specific concoctions or elements that can only be found within the phasmology department. Sure, they'll let me in, and for all they know, I have an appointment with Dr. Hunter. So I'm willing to try it, unless there's any objection.
I'm fine with you giving it a go.
Cool.
She says, keeping her distance slightly.
Fine. So I sort of just straighten up my jacket a little bit, pull my collar up, and start heading over towards the front door. With pure purpose, as if I belong there.
Are you just walking past the blue coats?
Yeah. For as long as I can.
Yeah, as you do, one of them kind of puts an arm out and very much puts themselves in the way. I'm sorry, sir. No one's allowed into the building. There's an active investigation going on.
I understand. I am a esteemed member of this university. And
yes, I'm sure you've heard of what's happened in here, but unfortunately we are conducting an investigation. We can't let anyone in or out of the building whilst that is going on.
That is understandable, but I have a very important meeting with Dr. Hunter today. Received letter and correspondence this morning instructing me to come and speak to her.
I'm sorry, that was that Dr. Madeline Hunter?
It was, my good friend.
Well, so I'm very, very sorry to inform you that she was actually one of the victims in this place. So I'm very sorry for the loss of your friend, but obviously no meeting will be able to transpire, and we obviously have our best detectives in there currently trying to get to the bottom of what's happened. So I'd appreciate if you return to your work and let our people get on with
May I offer my services and my expertise? I was a student and am now a researcher and professor at this university, with a specialization in chemistry and substances. So, using my expertise, I'm able to help with your investigation to establish whether any mysterious substances have been used.
I mean, we have our best detective on the case. We can obviously, if there's anything we need from the university or any of the staff, we will obviously get in touch. But as it stands, we're still establishing causes and motives and things. So we need to make sure the crime scene stays fresh.
Regarding this best detective of yours, I heard tell that there was a rather mysterious fire that started at a racecourse. And yet your detective does not seem to have managed to establish any criminal connections to a literal house fire, from what I gather. So, surely they're not the best detective you have, or if they are, I must say they are severely lacking in their investigatory skills, and my penchants for chemicals may be of some help.
You see him get a notebook out. So that fire was due to a gas leak. You're implying there's criminal activity behind it. Please tell me how you would have such information.
Rumor I've heard around the city.
Well, it was determined to be the result of a gas leak. So I can assure you such rumours are false.
Then that information was never disclosed to the public.
So if you have information relating to this, then
I can assure you I do not. But surely that information would have helped.
Then why do you think it's anything other than a gas leak?
Never seen a house go up like that before.
So you were there at the time?
Oh, I was at the races. I was watching, placing my bets.
And would you have any evidence of bet slips or anything like that?
No, because I unfortunately didn't win, so I screwed them all up and threw them in the trash on the way out.
And what was your name?
Whitlock.
Whitlock. Okay. Well, they might have further questions for you regarding this. It definitely feels like you have some knowledge that you aren't sharing with us, and would obviously appreciate any assistance if you have any actual information beyond that. But I mean, you say you've never seen a house go up like that. I presume you haven't seen many houses go on fire, though, have you?
That is a fair assumption.
So I don't know why you would necessarily be an expert in how houses get burnt, or what it would look like.
Yes, it is understandable. But that's not the point I'm discussing today. I'm discussing the point of my chemical knowledge and expertise and the help that I'm able to bring to this current investigation. And can I try and sway him?
Not your chemical romance.
No, it's not my chemical romance.
I mean, you can always try.
Give it a try. 6 and a 1. So 6, I believe.
I mean, the important question is, okay, that's fine. Yeah, so he's still not going to let you in. But he is at least not going to arrest you on suspicion of starting a fire, so that's good. And yes, says, well, so I appreciate your input, and I'll let them know if there's any substances they find. They'll we'll go straight to you, and we'll be sure to bring you in on that. But as it stands, they obviously need to do their work before then. So I'm afraid we won't be able to let you in to the building.
Ooh. I have a fine cover identity as standard. I disappear behind a bush and come back as his commanding officer.
I don't know if this will work, but I said I was keeping my distance. Can I sort of approach the building and make a big show of how, I can sense a really dark energy, and like put on a bit of a psychic-y thing.
I mean, yeah, sure, why not? So your current plan to get in, would they be connected? As in, you pretend to be a commanding officer, bringing in a psychic to help.
Could be a plan.
Sorry, I assumed that was where you were going with this concept.
I mean, we can relate them together. I was just
try that.
desperately trying to think of a way to get Haywood not arrested.
Yeah, I'm happy to come back as the commanding officer, bringing in a psychic. Got potential. I think it would work.
Would that be like consort? Maybe. Does it count as consort? Or is it sway?
I think what we do is use this as the engagement role, as the attempt to infiltrate the closed crime scene to see how well it goes. So, engagement roll. Which dice should we use? Let's use this dice. One dice for sheer luck. Is it particularly bold or daring?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Of course it is. I mean, you're trying to break into an active crime scene when there's loads of bluecoats around investigating. Like, I'd say that comes under bold and daring. Plans, detail, expose the vulnerability of the target. No, but straightforward no. And can any of your friends or contacts provide aid?
Probably not.
No.
You work at the
I
uni.
was going to say, I would have thought you would have a
Yeah.
friend or contact at the uni who could at least help in
Yeah.
getting information.
Not my contacts, but
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that. The director of the university. He knows me very well. hence why
Yeah,
I'm
that would
Steve's professor.
definitely come under a friend or contact who could provide aid or insight. Let's give these a roll and hope that they don't give us terrible numbers again. Well, okay. One of them was a 1.
Oh god.
Another of them was a 1. But the last one was a 6.
Okay.
oh, okay, all right.
Unfortunately for you, we take the highest number.
I was going to ask, when you started saying those ones, just what is the Claudia ratio for blue coats?
I mean, most you'd have to get very senior in the blue coats to have any percentage.
Yeah,
None of these blue coats can come close to affording.
yeah, suck it. Except don't, because you can't afford it. Yes, everyone, you came here for mature gameplay, I'm sure.
High quality blades in the darking. So, all right. So that's kind of how well it goes. What's your approach then?
I'm thinking of having put on my fine cover identity of commanding blue coat officer, heading back towards the main door with Claudia just behind, putting on the psychic characteristic.
Yeah, I have the
Aesthetic.
prospectus, and I've got my hand on it, and I'm doing like all the faces and stuff, like can sense ghosts.
And presumably you're going to give or kind of go up to the people and give any sorry, are you going to go talk to them at all?
I'm going to approach as if I'm just going to walk past, assuming that they know they should not just be approaching a commanding officer.
I'm following you, obviously.
I mean, currently the front door is locked, and they obviously don't recognize you as a person, so they look a bit unsure, and say, "Sir, sorry, I don't know if we've met. Are you part of the investigation squad?"
I am. I was I received correspondence back at the barracks asking for a specialist, a psychic specialist, to come and investigate this crime scene. And as you can see, I have brought our psychic with us. One that is not very well known around the barracks, a very highly skilled specialist.
You're in that department. Okay.
Yes.
Fair enough. It just kind of scribbles a couple of notes, just for records. Sorry, Sarah. We just had to make sure there was some weird bloke who quite possibly started a fire and everyone was trying to talk his way in. So we obviously can't be too careful.
Completely understand.
He grabs the key and opens the front door.
Cool.
And then kind of locks it behind you as you go in. Inside, you can see kind of essentially it's like a little reception area. To the right, there's a desk where normally like a receptionist would sit and kind of deal with anyone coming in. This department has then going straight in front of you is just like normal corridor. On the ground floor, if you go to the left, there's a big library. Go down to the right, and there's a bunch of offices for the standard phasmology professors. Then on the first floor, you well, it actually depends on how much investigation you've done already on the layout of this building. If there's anything you want to flash back to there.
Yeah, I was gonna, as my usual, I like to flash back and have the blueprints.
Yeah, cool. So then, so you go up to the second floor, kind of go basically through the reception area. There's some stairs in front of you. You can go up to the first floor, and it's basically just laid out with loads of seminar rooms, and there's a lecture theatre on the left side, and then the rest of it's all like seminar rooms and smaller teaching rooms. Similar on the second floor as well. There's basically the same set of rooms, and then on the third floor at the top is where the Centre for the History of Phasmology sits, and that's the section that Madeline Hunter works at, and that has a mix of some offices on the right hand side, a smaller lecture theatre on the left, and some smaller teaching rooms as well.
So I'm assuming it's pretty easy to find out where the victims of whatever happened are, or at least where they were, if their bodies have been removed, assuming they're dead.
Yes. So, so the offices are easy enough to find if you make your way up to the third floor, because obviously they're intended to be easy for students and such to find, and that's where you obviously the key individual that you're looking for was based.
Are there blue coats around her specific office?
So yes, there's lots up there. There's like not like a proper forensics team, because forensics doesn't really exist that much, but there's kind of like a proto forensics team, as some of the blue coats try and dabble in some of this modern science in their investigations. There's a few kind of detectives there, as well as kind of lead investigator, and a few kind of constables stood kind of at the entrance to the corridor to try and to stop people, obviously just in case anyone has made their way into the building, to stop people then getting to the crime scene.
I'm going to say we start making our way towards Dr. Hunter's office under the same pretense that we managed to get into the building.
Mm-hmm.
It's my plan.
The two at the entrance to the corridor. So I mean, the corridor itself is just a normal with just offices left and right. Then at the entrance, the two stop you and say, "Sorry, can we get your names and badge numbers? We just need to check authorizations."
Yep. I'm assuming within my fine cover identity, there are forged names and badge numbers.
Yep, seems reasonable. Cool. So yeah, you see the constable who then took that goes and has a chat with one of the detectives, and you kind of see him and someone that you kind of presumably between you have enough knowledge of blue coat ranks to be able to kind of spot as being the lead inspector. They have a bit of a chat, and then the lead inspector comes out, and looks at the two of you and says, "Okay, so you're here for the psychic. It's not. I mean, you're not the people that we requested, but I don't know if they're busy."
Yes, there was an unfortunate change of personnel. There was the actual requested names were not feeling very well this morning, so have had to have a change of personnel to cover, and unfortunately we're not able to get the message to you in time.
Okay, well, you know, I'm sure one spook's as good as another, right? Can you just make a roll, probably around the consort's way?
Both of us.
I think
Good thing I got both of them.
Just Hayward, or just one of them, whichever one you kind of something in that area.
6.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah, he leads you through, and says, "Sorry, what was your name, by the way?"
Okay, so obviously I showed him the badge that I had. And he believed that, so I'm going to go with whatever name I put on there, which I did not think of.
Whilst you think of your fake name, he's also actually looking at you as psychic.
Mon nom est Claudie Audelator.
Do you speak English?
My name is Claudie Audelator. Claudie.
Okay, Claudie. Have you looked at a crime scene before?
I have seen many crime scenes.
Okay.
The name on my badge was General Whittington.
Cool. That's fine. Yeah, he looks reassuring. Okay, that's fine. I know. I know. You know, you spook types are a bit weird, but even for you, the first time you see a crime scene can always be a bit of a shock.
Pardon, officer. Are you suggesting I am going to be afraid?
Well, I just want to make sure that it's not going to be a bit of a shock for you. the first time you see it, it's always a bit of a shock. But
I am thinking you are projecting, officer.
yeah, I just want to make sure it wasn't your first time. Yeah, come this way.
No, it's not my first time.
Very experienced.
Mm.
Once confirmed that you're not going to be shocked by anything you see, he leads you through into the office. You quite quickly realize why they might have requested some paranormal assistance, because you actually get to see, because so as you go in, you see her body slumped forward on the desk, with a knife in her back. You also see her sat in a chair, sat up in a chair, but not properly corporeal her. You would probably know enough about ghosts to recognize that you're seeing sort of her last moments, slightly on loop, and you can see her kind of just sat scribbling some notes, and briefly kind of looks up slightly questioningly towards the door, seems to kind of say something, looks also still a bit puzzled, goes back to writing. Briefly again, a few seconds later, kind of looks around slightly confused, at which point you then kind of see her almost kind of sit up in shock and then slump forward. That's sort of a 10-second loop that you can basically see a ghost just kind of replaying.
Stabbed in the back, in a room with the door in front. Is there a window behind?
Yes, there's a window behind. Currently locked. Shows no signs of forced entry.
If I study this room intently, what can I find out?
Make some kind of roll. That could be a study roll. To find out what you studiously study.
Oh. Who?
Not much beyond what there kind of is obvious.
But this Hayward just goes, I can deduce she has been stabbed.
They're just kind of looking quite They're looking quite expectantly at you, Claudia.
There is a lot of energy in this room that is not connected to the crime. For example, I'm getting that a lot of the blue coats are very good at stating the obvious. So I am requesting that can all of the blue coats that are not the gentleman who brought me here, please leave.
I click my fingers and gesture towards the door as commanding officer. General.
Well, I need to stay as, it's my crime scene, but, everyone else can leave. That's fine.
By all means, wait outside the door.
No, it's my crime scene. If you're detecting things, then, I need to be in the room.
What is your name?
I am Chief Inspector Watson.
Monsieur Watson, you have a very dark aura. You seem troubled. It is clouding the room.
Okay.
I'm getting in his face just to spook him out a little bit.
Why don't you make a roll for getting in
Is
his
that a
face? And
sway or a consort? What does he look like? And I'll tell you which it is.
I mean, a blue coats are not good.
It's a sway. Yeah, fine. Oh wow, okay. That's a 1 and a 6, but I have 2 dots in it.
All right.
Yay for 2 dots.
He looks a little bit perturbed by what you said. It says, "Okay, I'll fine. I'll just be outside then. Let me know when you're done and what you find."
Merci.
The blue coat's currently in the room.
I salute as he walks out.
He sort of half vaguely salutes back. And yeah, close the door behind them.
Is there a
That's
key? Sorry, carry on.
That man is overworked, I think.
It's a bit of relaxation. He needs to let off a bit of steam. Is there a key in the door on the inside?
No.
Are there any keyholes? Is there anything that they could be looking through to see what we're doing?
So there is a keyhole. Yep. I mean, probably one of them will be expecting to be able to see something cool, thinking that, ghost, paranormal person. At least one of them's going to be trying to have a look through the keyhole.
What have I got? Can I, assuming my fine cover identity and being a blue coat has a hat, take off my hat and hang it on the door handle, which would then be covering the keyhole, and I was just using the door handle to hang my hat on?
Yeah, seems reasonable. I assume you wouldn't fail putting a hat on it. There's no point in rolling for it. Yeah.
I probably would fail the roll knowing me.
Yeah, although it is also the sort of thing that you could then just keep redoing until you... And whilst it could be quite funny to see how many times until you succeed.
I got a 4 on the first one.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Takes 4 times to do it.
I actually have a point in a tune. So, is it worth, that's spooky things, isn't it? Is it worth actually rolling to see what's going on? Maybe.
Yeah.
My reasoning was that Claudia, like lots of I guess teenage girls certainly did when I was at school, definitely had a spooky occult phase. I just never grew out of mine.
Okay. That is fine. So yeah, if you... What would you like to do specifically? So I mean, there are options in terms of you can try and communicate with a ghost. You can try and see more of ghost echoes to see kind of more of what's happening.
Is it actually a ghost that's here, or is it just that one echo?
I would say if you successfully kind of attune to the ghost field, you probably would be able to use the energy from the ghost echo to communicate with the actual ghost.
Is it worth trying that? Yeah, why not? Yeah, can I try and speak to her?
Go for it. Make a.
Claudia's realizing she could actually be a psychic here. So it's just one dice, isn't it?
Yep. You can, if you want to push yourself.
It is a 4. It's a 4. Yeah, it's very glittery dice. I won't push myself. I am already relatively stressed. Still.
Yeah, cool. So you kind of see the ghost the death echo play out when it hits the end of the of the loop, rather than just going back, rather than her just kind of flicking back to starting position. You kind of see her slowly get up from kind of slumped position on the desk and looks around slightly quizzically.
Is she going to recognise Haywood in his disguise or not?
No.
Okay.
Is this disguise one that I can easily take off and then put back on before I leave the room?
How are you disguised? I mean, I'd say it's possible, but obviously it's enough that the guards at the front wouldn't recognise you from conversation, so it would definitely have to involve like adjustments to facial hair and stuff, as well as clothing.
What I was going for is when I was wearing the hat, for example, all of Haywood's long hair was tucked up under the hat, so it would just look like a gentleman with a beard and short hair, with a blue coat style jacket.
Yeah.
But obviously, being a general from the psychic division is not your standard blue coat attire, but was passable.
Yeah. I'd say we'll probably make a roll for it, see how well you get back into disguise when it comes to it, but it'd be definitely possible for you to do.
Yeah, then I'm going to do that so Madeline Hunter recognizes me.
So we can try and talk to her then, and hope that we get
specifically you can talk to her.
Okay, right.
Technically, other than you can see the ghost loop has stopped, Haywood can't see the ghost that's now there and can't speak to her. Can't hear her, but obviously can.
But she can see Haywood.
She can see Haywood. Yeah, she can see what's going on in the room, but Haywood can't see or hear her.
Okay. I'm assuming that I'm talking quite quietly in the hope that they can't hear that my accent has changed, because I'm not doing the accent of this.
What? Why not?
It's too hard.
And I'm going to base, having taken my outfit off was based on information being fed back from Claudia about what is going on.
Okay.
Actually, no, wait. I need to take it off. I can just...
You took your hat off anyway.
Yeah, I took my hat off, so my hair fell down. And then I took my glasses out of my pocket and put them back on and just got Claudia to tell the ghost that I'm Haywood. Why didn't we just do that?
Yeah. Okay, Madeline, I believe you know who I'm with. You used to work at the university too. Or he does work at the university too.
Oh, Whitlock, is it?
I'm assuming I can't hear this, so I'm just stood there.
Yeah. I'm like thumbs upping at you, like it's all good. We have some important questions.
Well, yes. So do I.
Do you have any idea who did this to you? I know we're not here to solve this, but
I don't. I mean, the room was empty. I thought I heard someone. I was just engrossed, in my work. I was updating some notes from some items that had been procured for me, and yeah, I thought I heard something coming into the room, but couldn't see anyone, and assumed I must have been imagining it. You know what it's like when you're working in a building like this late. I mean, it's not a real haunted mansion, of course, but it can sometimes do a good job of pretending. So you know how it's like in those sorts of places, and yeah, it seemed I was just imagining it. So I yes, carried on with my work, and I thought I felt something around me, but again, didn't seem to be anything there. And then, well, I don't really remember after that.
okay. Do we know Eli's second name, or is he just Eli?
You just know him as Eli.
Okay. Madeline, do you know anyone called Eli?
Yes. It was his is what he'd given me. In fact, that I was was doing research for him.
You were researching the things he gave you.
Yes. Well, I was working with him to some degree, to find some some different things around the origins of ghosts here. That's my area, and he had an interest in old magic, or sort of old beliefs in magic, and it was a theory of mine that the two were connected. That in some way the old magic turned into the paranormal that we see today. So yes, he'd been we've been working together for quite a while. Then I'd been found some things of interest to him.
When was the last time you heard from him?
It was probably just over a week ago.
So you haven't seen like a box with cylinders that fit in?
Well, I haven't seen the box. No. I'd seen some of the keys for it though. We'd identified them, and he was making efforts to get them to Dwimble to try and get a crew to acquire them for him. I obviously didn't ask too many questions on that, because he didn't. We have an understanding. I'm aware that not all of his methods are strictly legal, and we have an understanding. So I know when not to ask too many questions, but yes, he'd acquired a couple of them last time I spoke to him.
Madeline, he's gone. He got the box and he's gone. Like he.
Oh.
Not run away. He's gone.
I see. Well, I would have been very excited to learn that if I was still alive and still had my notes.
But please help. What does this mean?
Well, I rather wish I knew. And tell me, it's a little bit disorientating, being a ghost. I'll tell you that. I think the notes that I was working on, they don't seem to be around here anymore.
Is this the kind? Are these notes the kind of thing that would get you murdered? Would somebody have killed you? Did you have any enemies?
Well, not that I knew of, but depends what if there was significance to the notes that I didn't know about. Did how much of the stories did Eli tell you?
Haywood, how much of the stories did Eli tell us?
How many of the stories did you listen to?
It's not that I wasn't listening, he was very vague.
Oh yes, he does that.
He was like, get us a cylinder, we'll give you money.
Yes, well, he never really liked giving more information than he needed to. Did he tell you much about his research into the old magic?
Not that I remember. Haywood, did he? Did he tell us anything?
Obviously, Madeline has said that our notes, or her notes, have disappeared. I'm assuming that's since the time of her death.
I don't think the...
I'm thinking whoever came for the notes may be connected to Eli's disappearance and the box and everything else. So is there any way I could study anything within this office to try and figure out where the notes were and where they may not be going?
Probably some of that. Make a study roll, and then we'll work it out from there.
Did I already ask Madeline if she had any idea about the box? Like what what is it?
I don't think you did directly ask her what it is. Although she was vaguely on a point when asking what the stories that you've been told were.
Mm-hmm. But if I asked her directly, I can't be lied to. Or I can, but I know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mm-hmm. What did you roll, sorry?
5.
Okay. So I'd say in terms of the study, what you can see is that she was clearly working on something at the point that she died, which is no longer there. From the kind of where the blood is, you can kind of see a couple of outlines of, the edge of books, very kind of straight, where it looks like essentially the relevant stuff that's been taken was pretty much all there.
So, based on that, I'm assuming when these books and whatnot were picked up, there was still wet blood on them. Is there any semblance of a trail of blood leading in any direction from?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I assume that's been happening as conversation has been ongoing. She continues conversation with Claudia. Yes, he has a habit of being vague with certain people. He's always preferred to tell things on a need-to-know basis. There was there was a belief, and I don't know what your views on the old magic was. I mean, most of us, well, it's not really. It's more fairy tales and nonsense, really. But the old stories contain a lot of talk of people who could do magic, but also magical items. Eli was somewhat taken in by these stories. Was a bit of a believer in their existence and their magical properties. Obviously, there are no magical people that survived the cataclysm, so in terms of finding living people, it was a challenge. But he believed that there would still be magic items in existence, as well as cursed items. Both of them are forms of magic. Now, we've never found one yet, and the events of the cataclysm, we don't know what impact that would have on magical items. Like I said, my main theory that I was working on was why I was interested in our connection was that the magic turned into the ghosts that we see today. That the magic forces that caused the cataclysm were what then brought this world and the ghost field together. I was interested in seeing what would have happened to a cursed item, whether it would have maintained its magical properties, or whether it potentially would have taken on some more paranormal properties. Although I realise that they're in some senses similar, but whether there would be any indication if that theory was correct or not. I mean, we don't really know where ghosts came from, or what caused even the cataclysm and the subsequent events. We don't know what caused that. So, but the old stories about magic and how prevalent they were. I thought it was an interesting idea that maybe magic had replaced, or magic had been replaced by the ghost field and the ghost energy. So that's why I was involved in it, and that was my area of research, was looking at different cursed items or magical items. The box itself was said to was something that had been locked away, that was said to have magical properties. We didn't really know what it contained, or what even what type, whether it was good or bad. But Eli, being Eli, he wasn't willing to to take precautions as soon as he got a chance to open it. He was always just going to open it as soon as he could and find out that way.
Well, he put the keys in and he disappeared.
Well, clearly that was the wrong way to find out then.
Right, okay. The Bluecoats are investigating your death.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously. And we're only in here because we're pretending to be investigators. How... Is this connection with Eli something you wouldn't want people to know? Well,
I take it that that you have a connection to Eli as well. I think it's definitely something we'd rather keep secret. if in part because I wouldn't trust any of the blue coats to to be able to successfully investigate anything, and would probably be more likely to set them after you rather than more than anything. If they were aware of our shared connection and you turning up, they'd probably just assume it was you and arrest you for it. So.
I just feel really bad. I wanna solve her death. I like her. Oh God, what else could we ask? Is there anything else we need to ask? Haywood, pretend I've been signing all this at you.
Yeah. If we solve her death,
we can't involve the Bluecoats because they know we're involved. They would know.
I know.
Like real us.
But if we solve her death, is there the potential that we may gain a bit more information from her?
I don't know that. I think we've got all. I don't think she's holding back because we're not solving her death. I just think anything that could help us is in the notes that I think must have been stolen. I don't think the Bluecoats have got them. I don't know though. We could ask.
We always ask her. Well, actually, no, because there's no guarantee she'll be forthcoming in the answer.
I don't think she's lied so far.
No.
Yeah, she doesn't know who's taken the notes, does she?
And without me just repeating, trying to study the...
But at least your previous study established that what had been taken was when there was fresh blood, so it's very likely that it's been taken by whoever killed her.
Right. We need to try and find out which way this murderer slash thief left the room. How did they exit the room? I don't care how they came in. Just need to figure out how they escaped.
Did Madeline see the door move? Did she see the door move or did she just hear something? Like, can I ask her?
Yeah, you can ask her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was very engrossed in my research, but I thought I saw it close out of the corner of my eye.
Is the room big enough that you could sneak in unnoticed? Or is this somebody who could not be seen in the moment?
Yeah, so the room is quite a small office. It's pretty much
you couldn't sneak
a
in.
desk. Yeah, there's like a desk, a little kind of chair, just off and to the right, kind of opposite, and then the door. So it's really not big.
My only other course of action right now is the knife is still in her.
Yeah, one of my thoughts for a tune was to touch the knife and see if I could feel anything off of it.
Now I was thinking of using my knowledge of chemistry and my academic research to ascertain or dust for prints / ascertain any information I can that would potentially relate this knife to a specific individual, assuming it's a more unique knife rather than something bog standard, or using my chemical knowledge to dust footprints.
Sure. Yeah, make a roll to cover
Studying the knife.
that.
I have one string in my bow. Unless I'm trying to sway someone. Oh shit, no. 3.
Okay. Yeah, it's a super generic knife. For starters, so it's definitely one that like
Anyone could have.
it wasn't. Yeah, it was one that definitely wouldn't be easily identified. And one that's very accessible for people to get anonymously, as potentially you've done it in the past. Whoever did it, from what you can kind of ascertain from dusting, was smart enough to wear gloves when doing it, so they didn't leave any fingerprints.
Is it worth trying a tune and like touching the knife? Is any of the blade sticking out? Because I don't want to put my fingerprints on the. They like touch the edge of the blade.
You could touch the pommel. That wouldn't be where the
Hmm.
fingerprints were.
I mean, you could probably
Yeah.
just put gloves on.
I
Probably
just
be fine.
like.
Do you
Do
mind if
that.
I quickly pop to the bathroom while this is going on?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Can I try and touch it and see if I can get anything through a tune that way?
Sure, make an attune roll.
Oh, that is a 3, so probably not.
No. From what you can tell, it was clearly quite the knife hadn't really developed any. I don't want to say bond. That's a bit of a weird way of putting it, but you know what I mean. Like it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
something they'd owned for very long or done much with. It seems they pretty much picked it up for
Yeah.
that
and it's
purpose. So
just- Yeah, because I think we're now possibly on this person's hit list as well if they find out about us. I don't know. I couldn't get anything from. Oh no, headphones. I couldn't get anything from the knife.
Okay. How are we going to figure out where these notes have gone? Is there anything on a, like, we've just looked at the knife and the room in general. Is there anything that might be on her person?
good question. No, I want to say make a roll for it.
Three. Fucking this up, aren't I?
Yeah. So you kind of give pockets and such a search. Doesn't seem to be anything other than a couple of silver pieces. She has a key to the office. If you were wanting to use that for any reason, but not a lot else.
Gotta be something in this room that's gonna work.
Have you looked at the window closely?
I shall study the window closely.
It's just I can't study or survey anything.
I
Or
can't.
I can,
survey.
just not very well.
I can only study, apparently. Hey, there we go. A 6.
It sure is a window.
Yeah, I mean, definitely nothing went in or out the window.
There's got to be an. Well, no, they could have left via the way they came in.
Can ghosts kill in this universe?
Ghost.
Yes. However, what? Why don't you... Well, if you want to find out if it's a ghost, probably in a tune roll.
Okay. Oh wow, a 3 again. I'm a bit worried we're about to start rolling ones.
Okay, well, I mean, you try to attune to see if there's any ghostly energy that's walked in. You're not getting any. You can't be certain if that's because you're just doing a bad job of tuning or just because there wasn't any.
Okay.
Or certainly not a ghost in that sense. So
And Hayward just decide he wants to give this a tune.
you can always
Thing
give it a go.
a
Yeah,
go.
anyone can give it a go.
So that's 2 dice and take my lowest, right?
Yep.
Oh, please work. These are always the best ones. 4.
Cool. Well, presumably it's not something you're used to doing or particularly comfortable with. So you try and get into the same sort of headspace that you can see Claudia in. It's a little bit difficult to get a sense of exactly what's going on. You not being used to this sort of thing. It doesn't. It's not a ghost per se. That you can kind of see some energy of coming in. Kind of coming in through the door and then out again. It's not quite a ghost, but there's definitely spectral energy connected to it that you can kind of see tracing that sort of path. The whole experience is very, very stressful for you. Maybe take 1 stress for that.
I relay all that information to Claudia. That it definitely doesn't feel like this was a material human being walking in. Potentially. With some sort of extra energy.
But also probably not a ghost.
Also not a ghost.
Hmm.
And then relay my head now hurts. I have a headache. So I think any clues we're going to find are now going to be outside, which means we've got to deal with the bloody twat faces again.
It's okay, we might have information that would prove we weren't, as far as they're concerned, lying about why we were here.
Yes. I put my hat back on and brush my hair into it and put my glasses in my pocket.
I get ready to do a stupid accent.
I mean, technically, you have basically done what you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah.
The criminals doing non-criminal stuff.
Before we go, can I just say to Madeline that I'm really sorry that this has happened to her.
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
Well, yes. I don't really know what to do now. Didn't really know I'd be a ghost.
Rest in peace. That's what I say.
She's a ghost, Haywood. She's not resting or in peace.
Be at peace.
Well, clearly
I
I'm
don't
not.
know why I put my hand.
You're
Haywood's
just
not very good with
feeling
this.
around in the office, wondering where she is.
Where are you based? I could always make my way over. Is there anything else you need to know as well? Otherwise, I might make my way over and haunt you lot for a bit. Got nothing else to do.
Eli's mansion. See you there.
Oh, that old place. Is in the
Is she allowed to just be a ghost? Is she not
Six
going to
Towers
get
one.
in trouble with the Bluecoats?
Well, I mean, someone's going to try and stop me being a ghost at some point, but for now,
I make a mental note to tell everyone except Mittens that we've got a resident ghost.
yes. Is there anything else you wanted to know about?
I
Been an
don't-
honour seeing you again, well.
I can't tell
honour.
if this is a DM asking, have we forgotten an important thing question? Oh, look, Kirby's back in chat.
Been summoned. Yeah, I start muttering things along the lines of it's been an absolute pleasure seeing, not seeing, but not hearing, and not really knowing how to respond to this. I haven't seen or heard her.
But she can hear you.
Yeah, and so he doesn't really know what he's doing. He's kind of mumbling.
Has he always been like this, Madeline?
Oh, Howard, yes.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Find.
Alright. Well, bye everyone. She just kind of
Bye.
drifts off through walls.
Oh dear, we should probably talk to those officer people.
Right. I go and knock on the door after obviously having put my hat in.
Okay, I was going to say,
Guys, back up.
not to be that DM. Do you want to roll just see how well
I
it all
managed to tuck
goes?
my hair back under my hat and put my glasses in my pocket.
Yep.
What am I rolling?
What do you want to roll?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's not a study, a consort, or a sway. So I'm gonna just have to go with finesse, which is just one dice.
Finesse
Cool.
works though, right?
Yeah,
that's
but
right.
I've only got one dot, so.
Oh, okay.
Good thing is it's a 5.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Gentlemen, when they open the door, assuming they open the door.
Yep. Yeah, the lead investigator, opens the door. So, what did you discover?
Well, our report is she was murdered.
Fucking great.
She did not see a killer.
This is why I bought the psychic.
Why do you not lead with that? That's
I have
actually
an
useful information.
I have an important question.
Sure.
Where did you put the papers and books?
I mean, there weren't many around when we arrived. There's a stack of them. I mean, we took over the office opposite. And there's a stack of them down there.
Will they just let us go and look at those?
Make a roll.
Of what? Sway?
Yeah, seems reasonable.
Also,
Oh, I rolled a 6 and a 5.
Yep. In
What
which
was that
case,
when I was trying to touch the knife?
in which case, yeah,
Mm.
they're more than happy for you to just go and have a look. They didn't get anything useful out of it.
Mm.
And,
Seems not relevant.
Chief Inspector, may I ask, how long was it between receiving a report of the incident and your team arriving? And also, who was first on the scene? First witness that reported the incident?
Well, I mean, I thought you were just here with the spooks.
Being a part of the spooks leads us to the overall investigation when we have an inkling that things may be linked. So any forthcoming information would be much appreciated to wrap up this investigation.
Well, so we think she was killed about 10:30 last night. It was one of the cleaners coming in this morning about 7 o'clock. Normally go around and kind of open everything up and do any little bits of morning cleaning. They do most of the cleaning in the evening. So there's normally just one person who kind of opens things up and does any last little bits. So it was during his rounds that he found the professor, and that was about 7:30 this morning. We were on the scene within half an hour. And then, yeah, we've been here since.
Much appreciated, good sir.
Yeah, I want to look through those papers.
Yeah, I also head...
I say I want to look through them. I want Haywood to look through them because
Yeah.
I can't do any of those things, not without disadvantage.
Yeah, I also go to look, having now ascertained that it does not seem like an inside job from the Bluecoats or the cleaners, if there is that much of a time differentiation.
Yep. Why don't we cover this off with a roll? See what you find. You can always make it a group action if you want to increase your chances. Although you'd probably take more stress.
I'm pretty good. I'm happy with my individual action. With a
Fair enough.
5.
Yeah, makes sense. So you flicking through what everything that she's got or had there. Most of it looks pretty irrelevant. Just kind of notes around history and the kind of some stuff about old Dwimble that has been written in the last kind of 50 years, with stories of the theories of how the town came to be named that, and debates about the historicity of the Baron, and all that kind of stuff, and then kind of early post-Cataclysm history. None of it particularly interesting for what you're looking at. Buried within that, you start to see sort of odd pages of notes, kind of sort of in the middle of like a little stack of papers, essentially kind of that have been written by other academics, mostly around history, but there's some kind of notes shuffled in with that. The general question that seems to be discussed in those sections of notes, and that's from the notes you can see that's clearly in Madeline Hunter's writing, is discussing theories about what would happen to magical items post Cataclysm. As you said, her whole kind of area of research is around that kind of early transition and what happened to the world before and how it changed. And mostly discussing, what would happen to items if was it possible that we'd be able to find any that might have been in some way trapped. Would that mean that there was then, a ghostly presence somewhere there might be some kind of vessel that could maybe, if it was had trapped a magic item, then it might also be able to trap a spirit that potentially then could be unleashed if such a vessel was opened. She also had made some notes then kind of around where it's kind of a rough crib outline, so it's not like a full journal, but it's kind of noting out sort of a thought process of this is kind of what I thinking maybe could happen. Dotted around the outline are a few different kind of points around. There's a couple of different locations, one of which is a familiar location to you, Claudia, because you've been there, as could house relevant item. There's also kind of a few names that will be on there that you'll be able to take away of people who might have relevant connected items. Again, some of the names you recognise as people that you've come across in collecting the keys and the box itself. But some are in addition to those. The kind of last section is more just a list of questions that she'd kind of written for herself of kind of what would happen to old magical items. Would the items still be there? Would it just be a ghost now? How would that interact with people? Would it be different to normal ghosts that we see now? Would it be the same? How can we find this out in a way that is safe?
Do any of these locations listed stand out as an obvious place?
No, I'd say none of them right now, but it might be something to take away and consult with some other people in the group.
Yeah, does your disguise have any notebook in it? Can you jot them down? Like the relevant names and places and stuff.
Is it just like, are these names and places just on sort of a piece of paper?
We can't steal evidence. We're
Shit,
already...
yeah. We can't steal evidence. But surely we can bag it and tag it.
We don't really work for the police.
No, but if we bag it and tag it and carry it out as evidence being taken back towards
I am desperately looking through my load list to see if I've got stationery.
I have 2 blank spaces which I can write in.
I was going to say, yeah, you've got blank spaces, so...
Evidence bags.
Can I please just write these down on a piece of paper?
I mean, yeah, that's fine. There's
Yeah.
plenty of pens and paper around. It's it's an office.
Hayward's sticking by his guns. He's pulling out his evidence back from his disguise
Yeah, I write down all of the relevant places and names and such,
in case I get caught on the way out.
and when nobody's well, I'm hoping I did that sneakily so they don't think I'm stealing information.
They're not really paying attention to what you're doing.
Okay, good.
In that.
And I'll just shove that paper down my top or something. They're not going to look there.
And I'm putting it in an evidence bag. That is going to mean that I can walk out with it, and then when we're clear of the university complex, just disappear with it. Hayward is now convinced he is part of the police and needs to solve this crime. You never go full police. Number 1 rule. Hayward's broken it.
Oh dear. Let's not think about the implications of a person who is literally in a criminal gang thinking they've gone full police. I suppose that is just like being in the police.
That's not true. Criminal gangs murder people less.
Also fair. So yeah, I've now got the list of places that I'm taking back, and Claudia also has a list of places that we are now taking back. Just a backup copy. I literally have no idea how else to find this place other than assume this is an ongoing situation.
Mm-hmm.
Which requires the party or the crew.
Have we
Yeah.
forgotten anything really obvious?
It's a bit like it, doesn't it?
You have to tell us if we have.
You've assumed that I can remember anything.
Is there anything else cool to look at before we leave
Define
this
cool.
weird place? You know, just interesting. They're not going to question me while I'm going all psychic weird, are they?
I mean, the office you're in has got some nice art. Is that
Yeah.
sort of interesting you?
A bit obvious if we walk out with a painting now.
Yeah, no, I when I said cool, I just meant things that are nice to look at.
Okay.
You know, interesting things.
Yeah, there's some nice art kicking around.
I'm not going to steal things.
If you go to, if you presumably you can just go into a different office if you wanted to. One of them's got some cool little statues that they collected.
Yeah, I just want to have a nosy round and see how long it will take before I get told off by a blue coat.
I'm also just walking around, but looking very police officery.
Yeah, you got a while. They're not really caring about outside. Like they've obviously got the crime scene that they're back and working on. They've not really looked much at the other offices. They don't really think there's anything relevant there, and there probably isn't. But it means they're not really fussed about if you go into other offices. They'd eventually be like, "It's a bit weird now. Can you leave?" But for now, they don't care enough to stop you just kind of wandering into different offices and checking out. what's there.
Now, I'm not asking you to describe what's in all these offices, but I might be asking you to describe what's in all these offices.
I mean, the offices are pretty much identical, in the sense that they're all basically the same layout, but alternately reversed. So you've got a door, you've got a little seat, you've got a desk, and then you've got bookshelves on the two sides.
The hotel.
Yeah, it's all pretty standard, and clearly they just use the same blueprint, same model, and just kind of replicated it across. This being the kind of history of phasmology, there are just lots of history books. In each office you can kind of see a different theme. So from Madeline, she was very much focused kind of on pre and post cataclysm. There's a couple that are then kind of on the sort of early history of ghosts, and one of them specializes in the categorization and understanding and how that kind of developed over the first few hundred years post cataclysm. One of them kind of focuses on how ghosts interact with people in that early stage, kind of into about 500 years after the cataclysm. You've got one that kind of looks at how stories on ghosts have changed over time. So a lot of different story collections, and looking very much across the kind of 1,000 years, and how kind of fiction around the ghosts has developed in that time. A couple of them are very much focused on present day ghost history. So one of them is kind of looks at ghost human interactions over the last 100 years, and that sort of connection to between the two, and how that kind of affects sort of economics and politics. Another, the more modern ones, kind of looks at the last couple of hundred years and sort of frequency of ghosts, and how different factors, such as sort of kind of economic and social, impact the kind of the number of ghosts being sighted, to see if there's any trends there. I think I went off on one there in a way that was not relevant to what you were wanting to know.
I was just interested in what was there. I kind of want to take all the books because they all sound kind of interesting.
Yeah,
But I'm not going to.
You've got free access to the university with me working here. We can just come back later
That is true.
when it's not a crime scene.
That's true. And much more sensible.
Yeah, and each of them has sort of little bits of like art, and one of the kind of ones looking at older history have some like little statues and carvings around. For that's kind of relevant to what they're looking at and things they've found.
I think anything else to do.
Yeah, do you think we should?
Vacate,
Yeah.
vacate the premises and reconvene back at the mansion.
Do you think that bit that was in the writing? I'm assuming that no one can hear us. Is anyone in earshot?
Let's say no.
Do you think that bit in the writing about how they could contain ghosts, and it could be opened and it could come out? When Eli disappeared, did he not just disappear? Did he open up a box of bad things?
I did clock that sentence, but I don't feel I have the relevant skills to ascertain the meaning, and would need further guidance from other members of the crew.
Yeah.
We have both the physical evidence going back to lockup. I say loud enough just in case anyone happens to be listening.
I mean,
And
I was
then
assuming that in like poking, just having a quick poke around the other offices, you kind of, just in the furthest office down that corridor,
Yeah, okay,
just
that's
kind
fine.
of closed the door and had a private chat, and no one's really paying attention to what you're doing.
And we also have the backup copy. So we have the information to show the relevant people.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be able to find Dr. Hunter's notes without...
Didn't we just find them?
Well, we found some, but not the ones that were taken when she died. Because the ones...
Was it definitely was that definitely not the same things?
If the reports were accurate of the cleaner coming in at 7 o'clock in the morning, with reporting to the police at 7:30, and the police arriving at 8 o'clock, that would leave 8.5 hours between her being killed and anyone finding her. No, 9 hours between her dying and people finding her. But the notes were taken when the crime scene was still fresh.
So, so in terms of what you've found, they is kind of a secondary stack of notes that clearly the person or whatever took the main notes that you could see had been taken at the time, hadn't considered important.
Oh, okay.
But
All right,
was essentially
now I
another
follow.
stack of papers that had a few relevant bits kind of shuffled in.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like finding those other notes is a bit more of a challenge.
Well, if we've got everything, I think we should think about leaving.
Agreed.
Let's go. Let's leave.
Just casually.
There's a lot of police here. Let's go.
I leave how I came in, with purpose and police inspector swagger.
Just as you're kind of going past, the lead investigator just kind of steps outside and says, so anything else useful that you found for our investigation and looking around?
Small bit of evidence which we need to take back to the spooks. Get secondary psychic opinions on. We feel there is a potential aura surrounding these notes, so we are taking them back to the laboratory.
Yeah, sure.
For further investigation.
Yeah, you can find whatever auras, that's fine. I mean, but nothing actually useful then.
Not in the immediate time.
All right. Well, Just let us know if you do. It's I'm based obviously in the nearby precinct. Just ask for Chief Detective Flanagan. If you need to get
Flanagan.
Sure, it wasn't Flanagan earlier, my friend.
Oh no, as in they're based in the station compiling the notes for it. So if you need to pass any messages on, talk to just go and ask for Chief Inspector Flanagan, and they'll be able to take any information pass on.
We need to take you in for questioning, sir.
No, what? Why?
Just making sure.
No, he's my colleague that's based in the office. That I spend most of my time out on crime scenes. I'm not that easy to just turn up and give information to. That's why you need to talk to Flanagan, and he's going to pass it on.
Completely understandable. Just wanted to make sure.
This is obviously a very stressful situation. Officer, I think you should get some rest. And I'm gonna reach up and touch his face in a definitely not creepy way.
Okay, he doesn't think it was creepy.
Okay, good.
Although he does kind of take a little bit of a step back.
And I was just trying to apologise for the question, sir. As you know, protocol dictates we are 100% certain of every single person around an active crime scene.
Yes, and your contribution to the report was this person was murdered. So, yes, we really appreciate your input.
Plus further evidence to being taken for investigation.
Yes, plus you get to veto your...
Messieurs, please. Hayward, let's go now.
Good day to you, sir.
Yeah, and you.
I'm muffled just out of earshot. Fucking wanker.
Yeah, the ones on just kind of at the door of the corridor, just make a quick note as you leave. And I think that's probably all that's worth going through there. Presumably, yeah, you just walk out.
Yeah.
As you kind of are leaving and walk down, you walk past someone in the same sort of outfit as you, with a man who's looking very...
Can I want to ask him something and see if he's lying?
ask who something and see if he's lying.
The psychic guy.
Oh yeah, sure, go for it.
Oh God, what's something that I can ask as like a weird control question?
Control questions for a psychic.
Yeah. I mean, I'm suggesting Haywood not make himself scarce if he's still wearing that coat, but
Yeah, I've assumed now that I've escorted the psychic out of the building, I have carried on official business out of the university, and no one has noticed. And then I've taken off my disguise outside the gate, and I'm sort of lurking by the wall, watching this whole scene unfold from the corner of my eye. Well, not from the corner of my eye, watching this whole scene unfold, but nonchalantly leaning against the gate, smoking a pipe.
oh, can I just stop him and be like, "Oh, are you Are you psychic? Are you investigating this?
Yes, of course.
Oh, I see. I have just signed up as a student in the phasmology. That's the word you said, I'm sure. Phasmology department, and I just find it so interesting. Have you done this a lot?
Oh yes, I have a good reputation for detecting ghosts and their auras.
What's your name? I might end up studying you.
Oh well, no doubt. My name is the the name that I obviously go by is the amazing, spectacular, incredible psychic detective John Smith.
The amazing, incredible, spectacular psychic detective John Smith. 3 adjectives that all say the same thing. That's incredible.
Yes. Well, when you get to my quality.
What does he look like?
Is there a way to say a pretentious dickhead without?
This entire conversation, especially the 3 adjectives, all you hear is Hayward just go behind. Oh shit! Sorry. Ugh. Something in my throat.
Kirby, would you consider a pretentious dickhead to be bangable?
Against a wall? By the head?
That's much more of the right type.
He'd be into it, I can tell. Anyway, was he lying at all?
Oh, which bit? I think technically...
Any of it?
I think technically no, none of it was a lie that he said.
I just liked fucking with him.
You could probably dig more if you wanted to find him actually lying about things. I mean, you never asked if he was actually any good at it.
Yeah. Are you any good, Mr. 3 adjectives, John Smith?
Well, you don't get to have 3 adjectives without being amazing at this sort of thing.
That's very vague.
Well, it's... You learn the secrets as to how you successfully commune with ghosts in my way, and you get to see why, it's hard to be too specific.
Is it? That's very interesting. Too specific. I would have thought in a murder investigation, specific is exactly what they need.
Well, obviously for them I'll be specific, but to general public, of course, I have to maintain some degree of confidentiality. This is the point where you're aware that he's just kind of full of shit.
Yeah. Does Claudia have business cards, do we think?
What type of business card?
No, the thing that she normally does, not the psychic side business that she's thinking of starting.
I'd assume so.
Can I slip a business card in his pocket?
Yeah, sure. Make a roll to see if he notices.
I just know he's a sub with a humiliation kink. I just know. Well, okay. That's a 2.
I mean, he notices you slip it in, but he doesn't object.
Good.
And has a, cheeky glance at it.
I could overcharge him. He'd be none the wiser. Let's go. Let's go before we cause any more problems.
It's fine.
Yeah, I'm still just leaning against the gate, watching this all unfold.
He'd probably be into you overcharging him.
Oh, good.
All right. Well, that I think is the score. Thanks so much for joining for today's episode. Don't forget, you can see a link to previous episodes on screen. The next episode will be live on Twitch on the 8th of November. until the next time I see you, I hope you have a great day.